A home that can go down the road going 65 miles an hour and still stand might be worth listening about this whole episode here. Let's talk manufactured homes and modular homes. Obviously, there's a difference. There is a preference over one or the other. Appraised values come in differently based off of a modular or manufactured. So let's kind of dive into all of it. The first thing I want to talk about is manufactured homes kind of fall into the affordable housing. The word affordable housing kind of has people scared, thinking, oh, affordable housing is low end, bad. It just kind of it just feels bad, but that's not the case. It really is just a matter of misinformation, like most things. The coolest thing about a manufactured home and a modular home is how fast they can get done. And really, I'm serious. If the house can go 65 miles an hour down a highway and still stand and be like there, it's definitely worth checking out. Let's walk through the common misconceptions. Manufactured homes, we're going to talk about them. Manufactured homes are built to the HUD code. The June 1976 date, that's when the HUD code went in place. That's where your HUD tags come in. And then the modular is built to an IRC code, which is more similar to like I built this house from the ground up. Same home when you look at them, just some of the structural components are just a little bit different. I'm not going to dive into that here. That'll bore you to death. And I don't know that anybody really cares. So, on the manufactured homes, if it's on a permanent foundation, if it's considered real property, and unless you're a veteran, unless it has been twice moved, it's not going to lose value. It may not accelerate to the same level as a single family residence stick built home, but it's not going to decrease in value just because it's a manufactured home. Now, when we do an appraisal, the manufactured home has to compare to a manufactured home, so there has to be like property sell. That is definitely something that we have to keep in mind too. They're not a trailer. A manufactured home, whether it's a single wide, a double wide, a triple wide, if they're on a permanent foundation and they've considered been considered real property, they're just a home. They're not considered a trailer. And people like to call them trailers. I think there's probably it's kind of like a slang type thing. People just keep slang in their words or in their everyday verbiage, and it sticks. So why not? Um, Another misconception is you can't finance them. That's not right. Now, I would much rather finance one that's on a permanent foundation that's never been moved and it's considered real property right from the get go. It's cleaner. But we have the ability to finance manufactured homes and mobile homes in an actual mobile home trailer park that's on rented land. We have the ability to finance trailer homes that are not on permanent foundations. Um, it's just a little bit more expensive, a lot more down payment, not maybe quite as pretty, but they're financeable in all aspects of it. They're financeable. Now, you get pre June 1976, that gets hairy. Ooh, baby, that gets hairy. That is definitely something that we have to look at the big picture of the property and everything and make sure that that is really cost effective to purchase that ground or purchase that property. Um, the other thing is they're not safe. What makes them not safe? They still have to pass engineering. They still have to pass the codes. No different than a regular stick-built home that was built in the 1920s. Your roofing systems and all of that, have they been updated? Your 1920s home could be more unsafe than a manufactured home. So that's a misconception. That they're not real homes. Yeah, they are. They're real homes. They really are. If they're not on a permanent foundation, we like to say they're more compared to a vehicle because they kind of are. They could be moved, up to them and moved. But if they're on a permanent foundation, they are a real home. People can live in them. And then you have to remember when manufactured homes, I would dare say the mid 90s, it was terrible because nobody knew the rules. They would just assume you couldn't finance them or you could finance every one of them. Like, no, if it's been twice moved, that's a problem, guys. If it's pre June 1976, that's a problem. People weren't educated, so they'd put this brand new home on grandma's property, and then grandma dies and they want to move this home to a different piece of dirt and actually put it on a foundation. That's a problem. But nobody was educated to know that that was going to be a problem. So we have some of those homes that are out there. Um, but let's talk about a manufactured home and why I love them. This is probably one of the most odd things. I love them because I want you to think through how a single family home is built. We dig a hole in the ground, we put a foundation. That's the same thing with manufactured home. You're putting some sort of a foundation, a basement, a slab on grade, a crawl space, whatever it is, and you're going to put that concrete in a stick-built home or a manufactured home in whatever weather conditions are going on. Set that aside. The actual structure of the home itself, the framing, the trusses, the exterior components, all of that, a stick-built home, you're at the mercy of whatever Mother Nature's doing at that time. It could be raining on your foundation or on your subfloor. It could be raining on your just your framed houses. On your subfloor, you could have a couple inches of snow depending on when that goes on, and you're sweeping that off. I know we built a home and we had to sweep off snow, and the plywood, that's not plywood, what's it called? OSB, it's got like chunks of wood that are all glued together, and some of those just peeled off as we were scraping that snow off. All right. I mean, that's not ideal. It didn't change the structural integrity of the board, but you get too much moisture on that, it's a problem. This is where the manufactured home changes. It's built in a weather controlled building. Temperature stays consistent. There's never snow on it. There's never rain. The only time weather elements get a hold of it is when it's driving down the road to be put on a foundation, and it's taken care of. Like, you've got your exterior on, you've got the visqueen plastic down the side that's not allowing any type of moisture intrusion. It's protected. So you look at the manufactured home being built in a weather contained area, you gotta tell you can't argue with that. It's a good gig. It really is a good gig. It has a code. That's where the June 1976 code came in. It said, all right, guys, we're going to let these homes be financed, but here's your code you have to follow. We have HUD tags that say that they followed that code. It's good. There's some regulation there to make sure that it meets certain standards. I kind of find it funny because you have general contractors that are buddy buddy with the building inspector. They get chit chatting on the job site. The building inspector just signs off on things and don't even check things out. I financed a home that didn't pass inspection because they never even blew insulation in the attic. That's a problem, guys. You gotta. Anyways, that's a tangent. The transportation of these, you ought to go on and look at how they transport them. They have such solid steel bracing. They are so protected going down the road. Those bumps and everything. Those houses are solid on the foundation that they are getting carried on the trailer that's carrying them down the road. And you have the ability for a single wide, double wide, and triple wide. So you have the ability to put really some awesome details in it. My nephew and niece actually live in Texas, and they have a triple wide, and that is actually built to have its own little separate kind of a mother-in-law suite. So they have two master suites in it. They custom built that for them to be able to have their dad live with them, and I think that's pretty cool. So you've got some customizations you can do too to make them just what you need them to be. We have financing available for FHA, conventional, VA, and RD, which means two of those programs are 100% financing, which means we can buy some land, we can plop a house that's considered affordable housing that might be cheaper, might be faster, and you get in with no money down. Not a bad gig. We also have programs that allow us to buy land at the same time we are closing on the construction loan to be able to put a new home on your new property, and it's a pretty minimal down payment requirement, and it's a credit score that's really competitive. So you really need to check in this option. But let's talk about modular homes. They're built to the IRC code. They're built to more of the code of what a single family residence stick-built home from the ground up would be built to. Just a little bit different structure change, but the same concept. It's built inside of a weather contained building. So you're still having this stick-built home per se built, but it's in an area where there's never going to be weather on it until it's completely sealed up and weather protected. It's just the difference between manufactured homes and modular. Modulars compare to a single family residence. So when you're doing an appraisal, if it's a modular home, it's different. It just looks different. It feels different. The single family residence comparables, they're the same as a manufactured home, or a modular home built to the IRC code. Once it's permanent on a permanent foundation, the chassis are removed. All of that. you don't really have to consider it real property. The paperwork for modular is just a little bit different than manufactured home. We don't have the extra paperwork to consider it a real property. It's just a home placed on the dirt or on the foundation, I guess you could say. Um, it is falls in the same thing. Conventional VA, FHA, RD financing, because it's a single family residence, it has the ability to just go as a normal home. The the reason why you shouldn't be scared is it comes down to the lack of knowledge, the lack of education, the old wives' tales. Manufactured homes do have a bad reputation, and they did back in the early 1970s build a pretty crappy home. But you look at it and it's like there's a lot of those still standing. They're just not very financeable right now. Um, they really are affordable. They're an affordable housing classification, which right now in the housing industry, we need all the help that we can get. Prices are just through the roof. So I just want to throw this little side note out to you. Buy a 5-acre piece of dirt, put a single wide on it in the corner with the anticipation that when your financial status changes, you build the house of your dreams on the other side of the property, and you have either a rental property or you have an accessory dwelling or you have the ability to parcel that off and sell that single wide. But if you do it the right way from the get-go, you kind of have a detached duplex per se sitting there. You just had your home, your dream home, become income producing. So don't get so hung up on the fact that manufactured homes are, oh my gosh, I'm never going to live in one of those. No, it's a stepping stone. It could be a stepping stone. But there's also the situation where it could just be a good fit for you. They're beautiful homes. You can still add upgrades to them and have just a little bit extra stuff put in to have them a little bit nicer. You can you can upgrade your flooring, you can upgrade your cabinets. Some of those things can be upgraded, no different than a regular home. Get the bare minimum to be able to get you into the home, and then do the upgrades as money permits and 10 years down the road after your kids trash it. Um, the nice thing is you have a locked in price point. When we close on these, we have a contract with the manufactured home dealer themselves that says, hey, we're buying this home from the factory for 200,000. It's in contract, it's done. There is no up charges and any of that. It is all right there. It is what it is. Those numbers just don't change. So your price is locked in. Um, the I guess the thing that you would have to think about is, when do these not fit? When do they not fit your specific situation? Well, manufactured homes don't go in every subdivision. You have to think the land that you're buying, they might have direct covenants to say no modular homes and no manufactured homes. Okay. Now, the difference between modular and manufactured in those covenants, manufactured, if it says no manufactured, it is what it is. Modular, we could find out why. And maybe it could be that they require a certain amount of brick. Maybe they require some sort of a porch kick out. Maybe they require a garage or whatever. So we might be able to get a modular home to go in one of those subdivisions that straight up say, none of that, just because we can take care of whatever the outside curb appeal has to be for it to pass the HOA. So there is definitely some, make sure the land you want to buy is going to allow it. That's a huge piece that we just have to find out right from the get-go. And then also, it's you got to think about the marketability later. I don't know that we'll ever see a time that manufactured homes don't have some sort of a, but what about, I don't know, I won't live in a manufactured home. So you do change your ability for sellability later, just because I don't know that you're ever going to have a full shift in the industry that just says, oh my gosh, manufactured homes are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't see that happening. Even if they build a beautiful home, you still have the oldie goalies that have a bad rap, and they're just gonna, maybe 50 years from now, I don't know, but I'll be dead, so I'm not worried about that part. But the nice thing about a modular and manufactured home that I would just say is affordability, number one. They just kind of seem to come in better. Time. We can have right now, obviously it changes due to the time of year we get them, but we could have a manufactured home on dirt within 90 days. That's huge. brand new home sitting on dirt in 90 days. We have the ability to finance the land in the same time. So it's really a program we should look at if you're living in your mother's basement and you're trying to figure out how to get out. Maybe we find land and it becomes a stepping stone for you, this manufactured home piece of it. Now, on a side note, if you are looking at buying a manufactured home that's actually on a foundation right now and it's appearing to be hard to finance, let's see the why. Why is it hard to finance? Is there anything we can do to help it become a financeable property? There are some really good pieces of dirt out there with older manufactured homes on them that maybe the value sits a little bit more in the land, or the value to you as a consumer is, I really like that piece of dirt. I don't love the home. All right, well, let's look at the big picture of it and see if we can rearrange a few things and use that manufactured home and that land for collateral and just slightly tweak things just a little bit. Manufactured homes in a trailer park. I do not feel like these are affordable. I do not. We have the financing for them. It makes me want to pluck my own eyes out when we have to do these loans, but it's a way to get into a home of your own and out of an apartment. But by the time you have lot rent between $300 and $700 on top of taxes on just the home itself and insurance, which usually isn't very high, plus an interest rate that's higher because it's the type of home that it is, whew, that payment gets creeping up there pretty far. So if you see a purchase price online of $85,000, you're just automatically thinking, oh my gosh, I can totally afford that. That's going to be an $800 payment. Yeah, till you put $500 worth of lot rent on there and taxes and insurance, and it starts to tick up there just a little bit, but definitely an option. I've done a handful of financing for those homes that are in trailer parks, and they will cash flow for a rental later. So even if it's a stepping stone that you're in one of those trailer park homes and it gets you out of a rental situation, great. That's one step into the housing market. With that being said, manufactured home, modular homes, definitely considered affordable housing. If this is something that interests you, let's powwow. Let's think about what's out there. Let's look at dirt. I have three. I've narrowed it down to three manufactured home dealers that I work with. They each have their perks as to why one's better than the other, for various reasons. And I always give all three names out and say, here you go. I don't care who you go with. And then also having the ability to finance the land is huge as well. So anyways, I'm excited to see manufactured homes and modular homes become a little bit more popular. So Mortgage Queen out. Have a good day. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned. We are going to learn some more next time.